So, I often watch a lot of videos or read some articles or some forum posts or hear discussions in a store about Dungeons and Dragons and whatever book it was. Basically, since 2014, since the 5th edition rules came out, there's been a common complaint. And it's not common in that everybody complains about this, it's just that there seems to be this through line of certain individuals who complain about this. And I don't necessarily agree with the complaints every time, maybe sometimes once in a while. I think that maybe there's something to it, but for the most part, not really. And it's this idea of what's included in a book, right? So someone buys a book and they're expecting a certain thing to give them guidance on whatever it is. And an example would be, and this might be an example that I agree with, was the Spelljammer book, where they didn't include ship-to-ship combat rules. And from 2nd edition with Spelljammer, that was one of the main things of Spelljammer. And it's just strange that they didn't include it. But, I guess the focus for that book was on something other than ship-to-ship combat. And they thought that people that were interested in playing Spelljammer were more interested in other aspects of Spelljammer and didn't want to be bogged down in ship-to-ship combat because it takes a great deal of time. And I guess I should make another video about that at some other point in time. People complaining about how much time combat takes or how much time this takes. And I always find that a little weird that people are expecting this snappy thing to get it over with. I don't know. It's a game that you're supposed to immerse yourself in and enjoy. So the amount of time that an aspect of it takes, as long as it's part of, the story and you're enjoying it, that sort of thing. I don't know why. Anyway, that's something completely different. But the idea of this including certain things in the books, if there isn't something there, like an explicit rule for a specific type of situation, or in the case of like campaign books, or mostly, I guess, adventure books where they have a series of adventures and things have been, or people think that things have been left out, it's an imaginative game. It's a game that's meant for people to think of, new interesting story hooks or ideas or plot points or monsters or, an overarching narrative themselves. And I guess it's because almost all my role-playing is based on homebrewing and, creating my own worlds, creating my own stories, and also my friends adding to that with their play, right? So I don't understand why, everything needs to be included. It needs to all be spelled out. Because the more you do that, the more of a railroad you get. And I guess maybe there's individuals that need every single thing and it to be an A to B to C to D type thing. And I can't imagine, wanting to go through that. I mean, I've played in a couple of, throughout the years, throughout the editions, 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd, 4th, and, well, not 4th, but 5th edition, pre-made adventures, either from Wizards of the Coast themselves, TSR, or from third party, and they're never good, right? They're never, if you play them exactly the way that they're written, and if you adhere to it instead of just saying that's dumb and throwing it out, or if you take every single aspect of them and don't add anything yourself, they can't be good, is because the person that's writing them isn't writing them for you specifically and your play group. They're writing them for either their memory of playing the game or their current actions that they take when they're playing the game, or they are someone who has just over time acquired the knowledge of these, the systematic approach to creating these adventures, and they're a game designer, but they're writing it from that perspective, and they can't ever actually get into your shoes specifically and your player character's shoes specifically and your friends. So you have to make stuff up yourself to make it fun for your group. So the idea that someone would complain that something's not in there at times, most of the time, seems anathema to me, because you should put that in there. If there's something that you want, that you think you and your friends would find fun, and if there's even an inkling of something that doesn't adhere to the way you and your friends play the game, it should be immediately removed, glossed over, retconned, whatever word you want to use. And I've mentioned in a previous video that you should be taking these adventure books and campaign books and stuff like that and just plopping out the interesting parts and then putting those into your game and using the ideas that are presented and not actually playing the pre-made campaigns. Now, the exception I make for that is the big world campaigns, the organized play type thing, the old city of Greyhawk, where everyone around the world is playing the same adventure, and then it all culminates at some convention somewhere or online or whatever. Or when they did the Stream of Annihilation, where everyone, because then you're all part of this thing, and it's very different than actually playing D&D. It's still playing Dungeons & Dragons, it's still playing role-playing games, but you're playing it in a very different way, but what you're getting out of it is more than you ever could when you play it, using your imagination and homebrew stuff. You're getting this feeling of being a part of this large crowd of people that are spread across the world, or a continent, or a city, or a state, or a country, or whatever. But you're part of a large group that are all in this activity together. And it's similar to going out to see sports and going out to a concert and that kind of thing. It's that kind of feeling that you can't get in your normal play group. So I set that, or my disdain for doing pre-made adventures as written, I set that aside for that. That's an exception to the rule because of what the extra that it offers. But in general, I don't think that you should just look at a page and, we're doing this, we're on this part now, you've made this choice, now we go over to this page and stuff like that. And obviously, many Dungeon Masters are very good at hiding that's what they're doing in the background. They're very good at going through these adventures and making it seem like it's not on the rails, and it's not basically a script that people are following. And one of the ways they do that is by there being lots and lots of information, so they get upset when there's something missing out. But really, again, just add in things from somewhere else that you've already seen. If you're not the kind of person who has a lot of ideas and a lot of imaginative ideas, or has never, I guess, trained your mind to have tons of ideas, you can take them from anywhere, right? You get your pre-made adventure, you find the stuff that probably doesn't seem to work, you take that out, then you just Google different scenarios that you think will fit into these things, and then I'm sure someone will have mentioned something somewhere, probably on Reddit or some other forum, a decade ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, and you can use something similar to that, or you can watch a YouTube video and add in, whatever elements you think will work better, and then you'll have a better adventure. Now, I think personally, you should just kind of do it from scratch. You should read a lot of these things and have them in the back of your mind. But again, people's minds work differently, and maybe they don't retain information in the same way, so they may forget, or completely, once they've read something, a month later, it's completely out of their head and it's gone. So then I guess that doesn't necessarily work, and you can't instinctively bring in something that you read 4 years ago. So in that case, you do need to do more prep work, but I do think it's preferable to just go, to just wing it, and to bring in your experiences of role playing, the world, how people interact and how things happen and how history works and that kind of stuff. Just you kind of have to have a broad knowledge of a little bit of everything to be able to do that, I guess. So I understand a lot of prep work. So if that's the case, if you need a lot of prep work, that's fine. I think that's a lot of, or even most DMs probably need more prep work than just winging it. So in that case, I just go back to it saying you take the pre-made adventure, you rip out the stuff that doesn't work, you plop in stuff that does work, and then you have the adventure that will work for your play group. And at that point, you don't need to worry that things you think should be in a book aren't in the book, because you'll just put them there yourself. And I don't think there's a reason to complain about that, because everybody is different. And what people think are cool or fun or whatever is different. So they can't possibly put all the things in there that will work for your play group. That's just the way I look at it. And if there's, like a starter set or something like that that's missing what you think should be in there, it can't ever have everything that everyone thinks should be in there. It's just got to be as close as possible to getting people into the game, and then they can expand from there. And by not having things in there, it actually forces someone to think, maybe I could put this in there. And it gives them the idea that they can use their own imagination, which is exactly what Dungeons and Dragons should be doing. Anyway, that's just what I think. That things that are missing from the books that you buy shouldn't really matter that much. If the book isn't something that when you go through it, when you're going to buy it, if it doesn't have anything in it that you think matches the value of what the cost of the book is, don't buy the book, right? And lots of people review those things now, and you know what's in the books before you buy it, and you'll just have to check, see, does that book have what I need in it? Is it worth the price I'm going to pay for it? If not, don't buy it. But I don't see the point in complaining after the fact that you've bought a book that it's missing something that you think is essential to it. You would know beforehand if you looked up this information. And it's kind of on the consumer to figure out what a product is offering and what it does. And if it doesn't do the thing that you need it to do, then you don't buy it. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a good day.